Well, Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome back to another episode of the All In Show right here on Clemson at the Voice of College Football. Got a great show for you guys tonight, but before we get into tonight's show, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. We're on the road to 6,000 subscribers, and your help with that would be greatly appreciated. Hit that like button, really helps us out on these live videos. And then also we have two things, channel memberships that we've debuted. If you'd like to come hang out with me and Jordan during a live game stream of the Clemson games, please come check us out. Become a channel member. Click that join button right under this video. Select your tier. It supports the channel on a monthly basis, and it gives you access to that exclusive content. And then last but certainly not least, we got the Super Chat feature available for you guys. As you know, at the end of every single show, we turn it over to you guys, the comment section, and we get to as many questions and comments as we possibly can. We can't get to them all, so if you want to ensure that your question and or comment is read and responded to during this live episode, go ahead and hit that Super Chat, and we'll be sure to get to it. And with all of that said, and without further ado, I'm going to bring on my co-host, Jordan Bowman. What's up, Jordan? How you doing?
Doing good, man. It's good. Another week. We're already at week 7, actually week 8.
Week 8.
Yeah,
week 8.
Just hard to believe the season's going by this fast, even with everything that's happened and transpired in the land of Clemson. It's been a wild week. Obviously, insane news over the college football weekend with James Franklin and all that.
Oh yeah.
So it's been a lot. I've had myself a week. Got myself in a little fender bender yesterday. Not my fault. So that was fun. It's definitely been a week. Work's been crazy, but I'm happy to be here. This is the time where I get to kind of remove myself from all of that. So
that's right. Decompress, relax, talk a little Clemson football. That's what we're here to do tonight. Yeah, man, it's crazy. Week 8 of the college football season already. It is flying by. That's why we got to enjoy it while it's here, regardless of whether the Tigers are playing great or not so great. Past 2 weeks, we've been playing better. But we will see if that will continue into the SMU week. This week, they come to Death Valley. So we will see. But before we get into tonight's show, Jordan, let's go ahead and give a shout out to the comment section, all the folks that are in here already getting into our comment section. John Sarian, one of our great OGs of the channel, moderator, also a monthly supporter of the channel. Thank you so much, John, for supporting the show in that way and being one of our loyal followers on here. Zachariah is in here tonight as well. Wet Socks making a debut tonight. Thank you so much for being in here. Intelligent Savage, one of our constants in here. Thank you so much for being in here as well. And then Like Mike, another one of our channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel in that way. Appreciate you. Big John in here as well. And I think that is everybody, Jordan. I think that's everybody. All right, guys. Got 12 people in the live chat right now. So go ahead and hit that like button while you're in here. And we are going to dive into the show without further ado. So, Jordan, this past weekend, obviously Clemson first half dominated on offense. against Boston College up in Chestnut Hill. They dominated the game for the most part. Obviously, offensively in the second half, it did not go as well as we would have liked it to go. Chris Vizina played a bulk of that second half after Cade went out with the ankle injury. He was probably on his way out of the game anyway. But Jordan, just kind of your final thoughts on that BC win as you've had a couple days to digest it, go back and look at some things. How do you think the offense played? How do you think the defense played? And your just overarching thoughts on that win for the Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, largely, I think if you're a fan, I mean, you have to be pleased with, just what you saw in terms of just putting consistent drives together, putting together a, complete drives, not making too many, silly mistakes, not shooting yourself in the foot. Cade was very efficient and getting the ball out quickly. I thought the receivers played well. Offensive line had one of its better games. And they were able to really establish the point of attack for a lot of the game. This is one of those things where, Boston College isn't very good, and so there's only so much you can take away from it. But it is a far cry from the level of play we were seeing even against Troy several weeks ago. So, I mean, you got to be able to find that middle ground. Yeah, you can't get too high off of this and be like, okay, now this team is back and they're about to go on a crazy run. But also, you're like, well, these are good signs. They certainly aren't bad signs. Defensively, this was the more dominant performances that I've seen from them this season in terms of up front. They were just they were getting after it pretty much every snap. BC's offensive line certainly was not well equipped to defend some of that, but it was good to just see your playmakers getting involved and making even when they weren't getting sacks, they were right in the quarterback's face and they were affecting plays. Whether it was Peter Woods or T.J. Parker or Will Heltz or Jaheim Lawson, who had probably the best game of his career up to this point. It was exciting to see it feel like a Clemson defense again. I liked what I saw, and I thought, if you can build off of that, that's great. Obviously, this opponent that you have coming up, it's going to test you a lot more than BC was able to offensively. They have way more skill, and they play definitely a much more breakneck speed style of offense that's going to put a lot more pressure on you as a defense, but. Certainly not a bad performance to head into this game with. So I was very pleased with them, and it was a fairly complete performance by this team's standards. Yeah, the second half they didn't score a lot. They only scored 7 points. You would like to see the backups, make more of an effort, and not make more an effort. I don't think it's an effort thing. Make more of a you make more competitive drives, but. I think it was improved from North Carolina, where they flat out just weren't generating any offense. I think it in the second half against BC, it was more they couldn't finish drives. They got in the red zone quite a couple of times. They ran the ball pretty effectively. Chris Vizina just he made some mistakes, but I also didn't care for some of the play calling while he was in there. And so I'm not going to take too much of it. We've already talked about it. It's we know at this point this team just doesn't have that kind of depth right now, and we're not. When those guys get in, they're probably not going to look all that great compared to the first teamers. So it's not acceptable by any means, and that's not where Clemson used to be, and that's not where the standard should be, and that's certainly not what Dabo wanted to see when he put those guys in, but. That's the reality of where they're at right now. So I'm some fans are really up in arms about another slow second half, but at this point they are what they are, and you can only hope that those reps will eventually maybe bring us a little bit closer to having that kind of depth, but you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at some point in time, you got to develop your depth, right? And it was a luxury these past 2 games against North Carolina and Boston College to be able to get a lot of guys in there and develop some of that depth. And I do think it was a bit different against Boston College than it was against North Carolina. I thought against North Carolina, the offense just kind of disappeared in the second half. I don't think that was the case, at least early on in the second half. In that third quarter, I mean, Clemson drove it down, got inside the red zone on consecutive drives coming into the third quarter. They just happened to turn it over in the red zone on both of those drives. So it wasn't like the offense disappeared completely in the second half, but they definitely had their struggles. Obviously, Cade Klubnik with that pick in the red zone, kind of short-armed it, slipped out of his hand, whatever the case may be, and then drove the guys right back down there. The very next drive went out with the ankle injury, never saw him again. Vizina comes in, and I think it was his first play through that pick in the red zone, in the end zone. Just a terrible decision. But again, it is what it is. I do think the offense did show some life, at least early on in that third quarter, in that Boston College game. As far as the defense goes, I think it was probably, as far as pressure on the quarterback, our best game of the season when it came to affecting the quarterback and actually getting pressure, getting home. Tons of pressure there. Defensive line looked really well. Linebackers looked good again for the second week in a row. So that was a good thing. And you held a BC passing attack that had been pretty good all season in check for the most part during that game. So I think that was a plus on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, again, it was a massive explosion in the first half. Second half didn't go your way, but again, you had those first two drives where you just unfortunately turned the ball over. But overall, I think it was a net positive against BC. Now, granted, the past two games that Clemson has played, North Carolina and Boston College both, not very good teams, right? So take it with a grain of salt. Did Clemson suddenly figure out their offense and they're just going to go put up 30-plus points against every opponent for the rest of the year? I don't think that's the case, right? I think two things can be true at once. Clemson has figured some stuff out on offense. They've also played really bad opponents, which has helped them look a little bit better in the past 2 weeks. So I think Clemson fans need to put that into perspective. We're going to find out this week a little bit more of, is this team truly improving? Are they truly figuring stuff out? Are they truly coming into playing better as a unit against SMU in Death Valley, 3:30 kickoff? It's going to be on the ACC network. So we will see more to follow, if you will, on how improved the Clemson Tiger offense is and the defense for that matter. So overall, I think it was a really good game. There was parts of it that really irritated me. Some of the play calling when Chris Vizina got in early was kind of annoying. Chris Vizina didn't look really good running the football in the quarterback run game. There's just, there's a lot left to be desired by QB2 there. He has not looked well in the snaps that he has gotten so far this season. So hopefully Cade is healthy this week. Hopefully he's ready to go. Hopefully that ankle can be taped up and we're ready to rock and roll, because we're definitely going to need him against SMU on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really the question. That second half, how much of that is going to roll into this week? With Cade being potentially limited. Definitely expect him to play. The question just is how does that affect their game plan? How are they going to run him? How is it going to affect him making plays outside of structure, outside of the pocket? All those things, we won't really know until we see on Saturday, because they don't have to, they have to release injury reports, but they don't have to release capability reports. Is he at 100% or not? So,
yeah. Those injury reports are about as insightful as
the depth chart.
As the depth chart. Yeah, go look at Clemson's depth chart. Go look at their injury report. What can you gather from those two things? Literally nothing. Nope. Literally nothing. Those injury reports don't tell you anything. It's cool that they make them do it, I guess, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really tell you anything about the health of anybody that's on it. So, all right, guys, we'll leave the BC talk there. If you guys did not know, we have our very own website, the voiceofcollegefootball.com, VOCFB.com. I'm going to put it up here on the screen for you guys to see right there. You can see it's your one-stop shop for everything Voice of College Football. Go head over there. It's VOCFB.com. You got our show schedules over there, not just the Clemson show schedule, but all of the different channels, all the different team channels, the main channel, all the live shows are over there to the left. All the articles that have been written are up at the top with the pictures. So go check it out. There's different forums in there. There's different team pages, all the contributors to the Voice of College Football. You can find us in there. So go check it out and let us know what you think of the new website. All right, guys, 19 people in the live chat right now. Make sure you're hitting that like button while you're in here. Consider subscribing. Me and Jordan do this show every Tuesday, 8 p.m. We also do a post-game live video immediately following every single Clemson game, including this weekend. Right after the game, we will be breaking it down live, giving you our reaction to what we saw. And speaking of this weekend, Jordan, SMU comes to town, 3:30 p.m. kick. It's going to be on the ACC network. Clemson has not played well in the Valley, Jordan, as of late. It has been a struggle for them at home. I'm not so sure we have very much of a home field advantage at this point, just judging by how the Tigers have played lately at home. Seems like they play better away from home right now than they do at home. But they're going to try to see if they can get that turned around this weekend against SMU. Obviously, a rematch of the ACC championship game. Again, these are two very different teams than played in the ACC championship game last year. SMU lost a ton of guys, but they have replaced it nicely. Their offense is kind of humming along this year. Clemson obviously has stumbled out of the gate, seems to have gathered herself in the past couple of weeks, playing some inferior opponents in the ACC. And now we got this head-to-head matchup in the Valley. Jordan, your initial thoughts on this matchup with SMU coming to town with their, obviously their dynamic offense, their dynamic quarterback that they will be bringing into town.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting matchup for Clemson for a lot of reasons. SMU, for a lot of the reasons they were last year, offensively, I mean, the thing that jumps out to you is speed in all aspects of the game. They do everything fast. Yeah. They are in the 100, I believe they are 118th in the country in terms of average time of possession, not because they are just not, they don't score points and you get a bunch of 3 outs. It's because they score so fast and they run so many plays right, that they don't possess the ball that often. So they are fast in that way, and they are just fast in general. This team is one of the faster teams in terms of team speed that you'll see offensively. Between their quarterbacks, their receivers, their backs, everybody can run. And that's the thing that's going to stress this defense. And one of the things that I think this defense over the past few years has struggled has been facing teams with really, really great team speed that can stress them sideline to sideline. Clemson has always been more of a downhill, vertical, and then an inside out type of defense where they want to control the middle of the field and play downhill. But if you ask them to defend the sideline, sideline to sideline, it can get a little tricky, getting some of their, weaker athletes out in space. So, that's the thing that jumps out to me when I watch this SMU offense. Rhett Lashley has been doing it at a high level for a long time as a coordinator and now as a head coach. And they are going to throw a lot at you. That's really what it is. A lot of formations, a lot of motion, and they're going to a lot of misdirection, and they're going to do whatever it takes to get their athletes the ball out in space, and they do it very, very effectively. I already mentioned Kevin Jennings and what he means as a runner, but he's certainly an effective passer as well. And so he gives you a true dual threat kind of capability there. And their skill position guys are really, really strong. They're led receiver wise. They're led by Romello Brinson. If that name sounds familiar, a transfer from Miami. That's a theme on SMU over the last couple of years. But he's been they're kind of their number one guy. Tight end RJ Maryland is a really, really dynamic athlete. I think he's still kind of coming along the season. He tore his ACL last year. He's coming off of that, but he's a very, very effective weapon at tight end. And I'm sure that if you guys have been on social media, you've probably seen the highlights of Chris Johnson Jr. Once a Clemson running back target, now at SMU after a little bit of time at Miami. He might be the fastest player you play all year. He is true track speed, breakaway speed, whatever you want to call it. He's averaging 8.1 yards per carry this season. He's not their number one back in terms of carries, but he is the most explosive by a good margin. So this team has a lot of skill. And offensive line wise, I think they've done a good job replacing it, even though they've had some guys leave the program for over last season. I don't think they're great by any means, but I think they do really well with what they're asked to do. And with the way that SMU runs their offense, they don't have to block for very long because they are doing a lot to get the ball out in space and then taking shots when it presents themselves. The opportunity presents itself. So that's where, if there's one side of the ball that, in this matchup that really has me, concerned and keeping a close eye on, it's this offense and how they match up against Clemson's defense. I do think that they have some really, really dynamic athletes, and that worries me with just the style of defense and the type of players Clemson has on defense.
Yeah, definitely. The thing that pops out for SMU is speed, right? You kind of led with that. It's speed, it's their playmakers, and it really starts with their quarterback, Kevin Jennings. That guy's a dynamic quarterback. He's a guy that could create out in space. Clemson's going to have to be very careful and not overrush him because he will get out in the open and he will do some damage on the ground. That's something that Clemson has struggled with in the past, is letting these quarterbacks kind of escape the pocket and be able to create out in space, whether that be with their legs or keeping their eyes downfield and hitting a big pass because, the receiver works themselves open on a scramble drill. One of the big things with this offense is they are explosive, right? They're an offense that comes in averaging 35 points a game. They're averaging over 270 yards passing per game, over 130 yards on the ground per game. So it's definitely an offense that can get it done both ways, and an offense that you're going to have to be really prepared for. You're going to have to be disciplined in your you're going to have to be gap sound, rush with discipline in your lanes, not get over your skis on that, because again, Kevin Jennings will make this defense pay if they rush past him and he sees a lane to do damage on the ground. He will absolutely do that. He can also do it through the air. He can spin it. So Jordan, what does Clemson's defense have to do well in this matchup in order to limit this explosive SMU offense in the Valley this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of laid it out. I mean, you have to be. I mean, first of all, I mean, you have to your eye discipline. It's got to be at a really high level. I mean, you got to be well prepared. You got to trust what you see. and trust your eyes, because they're going to throw a lot at you just to get you out of out of alignment, and out of position. And with Clemson and the guys that they have out on the outside, they're going to try to take advantage of some of the deficiencies Clemson has, long speed wise. They're going to run, a lot of screens. They're going to make your corners come down and be effective in the screen game, and make tackles. So you're going to have to make some open field tackles, corners especially, and certainly the safeties are going to have to help as well. It's going to have to be a team effort, of course, but they're really going to spread you out and make sure that they can get as many advantageous matchups one-on-one as possible. I really think that it's really about trusting your eyes in this game, and also if you're the defensive line, you want to be aggressive, but you also can't let Kevin Jennings beat you with his legs. And
right.
He hasn't run a ton this year, but he can. He is very capable.
Yeah.
They haven't really had to use his legs as much, and I think they've certainly wanted to develop him as a pocket passer, but he certainly has that in him. And with these dynamic backs that they can use out of the backfield, and that have that explosiveness, along with their receivers and tight ends, they can hit you at all angles, essentially. It's a very, very complete offense. And so it's going to be difficult, and I'm interested to see how this team is, prepares for it. And, with the past couple of weeks, not, playing teams that were certainly limited offensively, it's a whole different ball game here. I mean, this is going to be a true test on whether or not, they've really figured some things out defensively.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a big test for the Tigers this weekend. And like we said, we're going to find out how much they figure things out, how much they have improved. It's going to kind of be one of those things that's, as you mentioned, this is an offense that likes to play with a lot of tempo. What's the best way to negate an offense that likes to play with tempo? Get them behind the sticks, right? Don't allow them to be successful on first and second downs. Get them into second and long, third and long situations, and then you'll negate a lot of that tempo that they want to play with, and a lot of that speed that they're going to try to use in order to gash your defense and create explosive plays. So that's going to be a big test for the Tigers this weekend. I'm sure Tom Allen's going to have a good plan for that. But kind of switching gears to the SMU defense versus our Clemson Tigers offense, what have you kind of seen from them this year, and what can the Tigers expect from SMU defensively?
Yeah, this defense is as feast or famine as it gets. I think in college football, when you look at it, they are going to be very hyper aggressive up front. They're going to send a lot of blitzes, a lot of blitz packages. The one thing that's been consistent this year is they clearly don't have guys on the back end that can really, compensate for that style of play. SMU is 135th in all of college football in pass defense. They give up just over 315 yards per game, and that's not very good. If I need to tell you that, so they have been. They have been very vulnerable to the pass this year, kind of by nature of how they play defense. I think they've lost some guys from last year that I think they probably had more trouble replacing than maybe they even thought. But the one thing that is really good about this defense, I do think their front four is pretty good. They are 19th. I'm sorry, not 19th. They are 10th nationally in sacks with 19 sacks on the season. So they are going to sell out for tackles for loss. If that tells you anything, they are, like I said, they are very feast or famine. They want to get tackles for loss at the expense of potentially giving up explosive plays. That's why I think this could be a big day for Cade Klubnik if he's feeling good, and him and the receivers are on the same page. There will be some opportunities on the back end to make plays. But it's can the O-line protect, because this SMU defensive line is pretty good. They have it's a pretty transfer-heavy defensive line, but a couple of those guys have been in the program for a little bit now. Cameron Robertson, he's tied for the team lead in sacks with 5. He's probably their best pass rusher off the edge. And on the interior, Jeffrey Mba is a load to deal with as well. He's a very, very physical force. Tough to, I saw him against Stanford literally just shake off a double team for a sack. You basically throw 2 guys off to the side for a sack. So, he's a very, very good player. I mean, this defensive line is very good. So I do think that that's going to be the biggest thing for this defense to this offensive line and the pass protection in general to hold up. I think there will be opportunities to be had on this defense, because they are going to send a lot of pressure. They are going to sell out for tackles for loss, and that leaves their defensive backs, who I don't think are particularly great, very vulnerable to the big play. So, I think the game plan is pretty simple. I think you'll see Clemson throw the ball a lot more this game. But, establishing the run is still important. I think that, you've done good things when you've gotten Adam Randall the football. So whether it's, even if it's not, in the traditional run game, using him out of the backfield like you've seen the last couple of weeks, it's been really effective. And there have been some plays, there have been opportunities for big plays when you've done that. So, I think the game plan for the offense is simple. I think there will be opportunities for plays. You just gotta hit them. And I think this SMU defense is probably better than 135th. They are 66th in yards per play, so that's not great, but it's considerably better they're considerably better on a down-to-down basis than the total defense would suggest. But they are, like I said, they are very susceptible to the pass. So you do want to take advantage of those opportunities when they present themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's going to be a test for the offensive line this week, right? You mentioned kind of their sack leaders there, Smith and Robertson. Those are kind of their big sack guys so far this season. One's got 2.5, one's got 4.5 sacks on the season. So again, going to be a big test for Clemson's protection, right? The offensive line is going to have to stand up, play big. I'm assuming Braden Jacobs is going to be starting at left tackle again in this game, and we're going to find out whether he just had a good game or he's truly taken that next step and he's ready to step into a bigger role on that offensive line. So be looking for him on Cade's blind side there. The running backs are going to have to get involved in the protection there. But like you said, if Clemson's protection can hold up, there are plays to be made on the back end of that defense. There are explosive plays. You got name the receiver that can exploit that secondary if Cade gets time, right? So Cade's going to have to trust his protection, step up into the pocket, trust what he's seeing. Like to see some leaning a little bit heavier on the traditional running game this week and not so much the quarterback running game. Get significant carries for Randall there, get some carries for Eazy-E and Gideon Davison there as well. And then get your playmakers the ball out in open space like you have done successfully for the past 2 weeks, right? Give Cade some quick reads, give Cade some quick passes, lean on that defense a little bit, and then the big plays I think will come off of things like that. So that's how I would attack it if I was Clemson's offensive coordinator. Again, I'm not an X's and O's guys. I'm not an offensive coordinator, so I'm sure Garrett Riley's going to have a great plan for that. But definitely a bigger test this week for the Tigers than they have had in the past couple weeks.
100%. This team is going to tell us a lot. And we talk about the recent home record. Clemson is 7-6 in their last 13 games against Power 4 opponents at home. That's since the loss to South Carolina in 2022. They are 7-6 against Power 4 opponents at home.
That's pitiful. That
is pitiful. Shout out to Larry Williams over at Tiger Illustrated for that stat. That was very sobering when I read it, and it tells you a lot about kind of how far this team has fallen in terms of, just getting up for these home games. Because I really don't think, I can't blame the Clemson fan base. I think they've showed out. I still think, Memorial Stadium is a tough venue to play at, and they do a great job of making it a tough venue to play at. But the team's got to show up. Team, Dabo said, in the week, he said, teams aren't just going to come in here and bow down. You can't. That's not how this works. You don't. Stadiums don't win football games. Football teams do, and the football team has to show up.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Clemson's got an amazing environment. They have an incredible crowd. They got an incredible atmosphere. It's loud. It's a tough place to play. But when your product on the field sucks and your team's not playing well, it doesn't matter how loud the fans are. It doesn't matter how many people you can pack into a stadium. The team's just not playing well. So hopefully Clemson looks to rectify that this coming weekend versus the SMU Mustangs and get a second win since SMU joined the ACC. Jordan, last thing I want to talk about before we move on from the SMU preview and kind of move on to the rest of the show is Cade Klubnik and his health. I know we've mentioned it a couple times, but this is a big deal. If you're a Clemson Tiger fan, Cade Klubnik's health this week is a huge deal. It's going to affect this game massively one way or another. I know Dabo Swinney seems to, all the questions asked in the media and his interviews are, Cade Klubnik's going to be fine. What are your gut feeling, your thoughts? Do you think Cade's going to be healthy? Do you think it'll affect the game plan in any way? Just kind of how do you see this playing out?
Yeah, I think it is going to some degree at least affect how much they run him. If he's really not feeling, if it's still lingering at least a little bit, at game time, it's tough to say, now. But they seem optimistic, but I really do think this is going to be a game where Cade's going to have to win a lot from within the pocket, and that does scare me a little bit.
A little bit.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's a little concerning.
Yeah,
it's a little concerning. I do think his mobility will be hampered in this game. I think hands down, everyone knows that, right? Now, Dabo did allude to the fact that he has already been dealing with a sore ankle for a couple weeks now. That's why it's taped up heavily. So I have no doubts that he's going to play in this game. They'll probably tape it up very heavily. I hope that they lean a little bit heavier on the traditional running game and let Cade Klubnik just be a quarterback back there. Not that he can't run. I know he's going to run some. I just would like to see him run a little bit less in this game than he has in previous games. And hopefully that ankle holds up because, again, if we have to turn to the bench when it comes to the quarterback position, we might be in trouble in this game. We might be in trouble. So we'll see.
We shall see.
We shall see, guys. We shall see. All right, we'll leave the SMU talk there. We'll get to the score prediction here in a minute. But before we get to that, Jordan, we got a super chat.
Yes.
Sirius Black says, why is Keith Adams Jr. always left out of the conversation of good backs? In my opinion, he runs harder and with more purpose than Easy and Gideon. He should have more touches and be RB2. Your thoughts, Jordan?
There's certainly some merit, with what we've seen. Obviously, the last game, he ran the ball very effectively. Ended up leading the team in rushing off of that one drive. Keith Adams Jr. He's always been a guy that the team has been really high on, at least internally, and the coaches always rave about him. But you don't really ever see him during the football games, and it's kind of strange because he does have that utility. He's tough to tackle. He's not a burner. He's not going to break a 50-yard touchdown run. And I don't know if his future is going to be playing NFL, playing major professional football, but he's a very, very good college back, and he's that tough running style and the low center of gravity. All of that makes him such a difficult player to kind of get a hold on, and he runs through people, man. He's good. I definitely see the merit of playing him more often, and certainly I think he's definitely the best pass protector of any of the backs on the team. He does that at the limited times we've seen him. I mean, he's got a thick lower body. Pause. But that's what he that's what he has, and it helps him in those types of situations, and he's just a very, very strong football player that has a lot of utility, running the football and in pass protection. So I mean, I don't know why you don't see him more often. I couldn't really tell you, because he certainly does the work, and by all accounts, he's a great kid. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I like his running style. I like kind of the way that he just runs through contact. He's a very run into contact type of back. He's not trying to run around anyone. He's trying to run through people. He's very physical, and that comes in handy, especially in the fourth quarter when you're trying to salt a game away. A guy like that can be, a weapon late in a game, especially when you bring him off the bench. He's got fresh legs. The defense is kind of tired. They've already played 3.5 quarters, and they're trying to get out of there. And then here comes Keith Adams, hammerhead in here, just destroying defensive linemen, safeties, linebackers, anybody who gets in his way. It's fun to watch. I don't know if he's RB2. I don't know if I would go that far, but I think he does have a place in this offense, especially late in games when defenses are tired. He just brings that next level of physicality that I don't think any of our other backs quite bring that he does. So I definitely think there's a place for him in this offense. Again, I don't know if it's RB2, but, I wouldn't mind, seeing him the second half of the fourth quarter, especially when you're salting away a game. He's fun to watch. I love watching him run the football. He's a guy that you hear him when he's running the football because he's running over defenders left and right. So yeah.
Did we hit the one? Did we hit the one from Big John or?
No.
Okay, I would just wanted to make sure I wasn't tripping. I was like, wait.
Big John, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. He says, the curse of the pink week is upon us. Bring your horseshoes and rabbit's feet. Always ugly. Is that true? Do we always struggle in the pink week?
I don't know. I've
have
never
to look back. I didn't
never
know.
paid attention to that.
Yeah, I didn't know that we struggled in the pink week, but I'll take your word for it, Big John. So Jordan, if you're going to the game, make sure you got your horseshoes and your rabbit's feet on you.
Oh yeah, I'll make sure.
I'll make sure. And if we lose, we'll just blame it on you.
Oh yeah, no, I think I got a spare rabbit's foot. I lent the other one to a friend, but I think I got my spare in this drawer next to me, so we should be good.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Big John. All right, guys, we've got 26 people in the live chat right now. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you hit that like button. Consider subscribing. Come hang out with me and Jordan long term. We do this show every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. We also do a live post-game reaction video to each and every Clemson football game on Saturday or whenever the Tigers play. We have merch now, guys. If you guys did not know, or you're looking for something to show that you support the Voice of College Football Clemson channel, check out our merch store, VOCFB-shop, VOCFB-shop. You can find all of the Voice of College Football Clemson merch. We got some hats there, different color camos on those. You guys can see it there. Regular black hat there, comes in different styles. The purple shirt also comes in orange, black, gray, couple other colors there. Just got the VOCFB Clemson logo on there. So go check that out. Got a crew neck, another t-shirt design, some polos on there as well. And then down here at the bottom, we got your can koozies, your tumblers, and then a coffee mug. So go check it out. Go check it out. VOCFB-shop and support Clemson at the Voice of College Football, and you get something nice in return for your support. So appreciate you guys' help with that. All right, Jordan. We've broke down the game. We talked about offense. We talked about defense. We talked about Cade Klubnik's health. We talked about game plans and everything in between. But now it is time for a score prediction. It's time to lock it in. Not that we're very good at score predictions at this point. I think this might be our worst season yet, Jordan, when it comes to score predictions. But we won't blame ourselves on that. That's obviously a Clemson problem. They're not doing their part most of the time. And that's why we get our score predictions wrong. That's what I'm sticking to. So it's not our fault. It's Clemson's fault. So, but anyways, the line, it opened up at 8.5. It is now up to 9.5. The over-under is at 54.5.
All right.
You guys, while Jordan is about to make his score prediction, go ahead and lock your score predictions in the chat now so that you can be wrong along with us when inevitably Clemson makes me and Jordan wrong yet again.
Yeah. Man, I've gone into this game and, with a lot of mixed feelings because, there is a lot of reasons, maybe to think that, this team has started to, turn a corner a little bit offensively and defensively. But, the optics of it being against two really bad football teams is really, really tough to shake, knowing how this team has scaled up against better opponents as of late. Clemson is a 9.5 point favorite, whatever it is now.
9.5. It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points for a team that has not played well at home and is against more competent, their most competent P4 opponents. They have lost, and they've lost by double digits in one of them. So this game has made me uncomfortable for a while because I do think that SMU's offense might give this defense some problems. And, my question is this going to be a game where it turns into a track meet and Clemson, is able to take advantage of SMU's vulnerabilities on the back end? Or is this a game where Clemson is playing from behind because they were the more prepared team out the jump? They maybe hit Clemson with a big play or whatever, what have you, kind of similar to Syracuse, where they just kind of go up and down the field early in the football game. That kind of worries me. Turnovers, I think, will definitely play a factor in this. SMU has, they've turned the ball over in every football game except for last week. So I do think that if this defense, if Clemson can generate turnovers like they did, last week and, like they did against SMU last year, that could go a long way towards, maybe potentially weathering the early storm. Because so far this season, SMU has been the better football team out the gate in terms of opening drive scripts and things like that. So if you go down, say SMU gets the ball first and they go right down the field and score, like how does this team respond? Getting off to a good start and slowing down SMU and maybe preventing them from having a strong start could go a long way. But again, this is a matchup that really kind of befuddles me a little bit because I really don't know what I'm going to get out of SMU defensively, and I think that's going to tell us a lot about where what this final score ends up being. I think SMU is going to win the football game. Now, before people freak out on me and say that Jordan, you're delusional, or not delusional, Jordan, you're just being a negative Nancy, you're just hating. I'm not going to let this football team fool me. I'm not going to give them the opportunity. If I'm going to want to be proven wrong, because so far in recent results against these caliber of opponents, Clemson has not answered the bell. They just haven't. And I do think SMU scares me enough, offensively, where I do think they'll score points in this game. And I'm worried about Clemson, consistently putting together offense, even with the vulnerabilities SMU has on defense. Has Clemson's offensive line found found a starting five that they can rely on? Braden Jacobs, obviously last week was, over the weekend was a really, really nice revelation and played extremely well. But can he continue that against a far better defensive front? I don't know. Can this offensive line in general hold up? Will Cade Klubnik's limitations potentially because of the injury affect how Garrett Riley calls this football game, and in turn affect how effective they are? I don't know. I don't think Clemson gets blown out. I don't think this is like a Syracuse type of thing where it's non-competitive. I think it's going to be a good football game. I'm going to take SMU to win the football game, 33-27.
All right, 33-27. SMU wins the game, according to Jordan. I'll tell you what. I have a very similar score prediction, but I'll get to who I'm going to pick to win this game in a minute. My kind of thoughts heading into this game is this is an opportunity for Clemson to prove that they have truly figured some things out on offense and defense, just as a whole, as a team, that they've started to turn the corner into being somewhat of a better football team than the way they started the first 4 games of this season. Is that going to happen? I don't know. It's a big question mark. Cade Klubnik's health scares me because we've seen what's behind him, and it's not good. So if Cade Klubnik does not play in this football game or is not able to complete this football game, Clemson's in trouble. Clemson will lose this football game if Cade Klubnik cannot go or goes out early in this game, hands down. The other thing that scares me is SMU's offense, their tempo, their explosiveness. I know, the quarterback hasn't run for a ton of yards this season, but something tells me that he's going to gash Clemson on the ground. Something tells me he's going to gash this Clemson team on the ground. We've seen it far too many times with this Clemson team, and although he hasn't run, I think he's run, for like 5 yards on the season, he's probably going to run for like 60 yards in this game. That's just the way I feel about it. So I'm very worried about their offense, and I'm worried about our offense because of the health of Cade Klubnik. With that said, I'm going to roll with the Tigers. It's going to be a close game. Clemson's defense is going to have to stand up late in order to shut down SMU and salt away the victory. I'm going to go Tigers 31, SMU 27.
I like it. So I think this is the first game this year that we've been split in terms of the result. So
it is.
We both thought
I'm
all
probably
the other games.
going to regret that. But we'll see. Hopefully the Tigers can make me right.
Yeah. At the very least, someone will gain some separation in terms of the correct win-loss prediction, because we were in lockstep on every other game. We both thought they'd beat LSU. We got Troy right. Woo.
We got Troy right. We got the other three wrong.
Yeah.
And then obviously we got UNC and BC right, but those weren't very hard to predict.
No.
Those football teams were not very good. BC for different reasons than UNC, but the fact still remains they're not great football teams.
Yeah.
But you are playing a good football team this Saturday. So we will see what Clemson does this Saturday. Jordan's score prediction, 33-27 SMU. My score prediction, 31-27 Clemson. So that's how we see it going, guys. Get your comments in the comment section. Get your score predictions. Tell us where we're right. Tell us where we're wrong. And with that said, Jordan, I think it's time to shift gears and turn it over to the comment section.
Yeah, let's do it. See what y'all's score predictions were. Intelligent Savage, 28-24 Tigers. David Lowry swinging for the fences. Clemson 45, SMU 17. Listen, David, if Clemson wins this game by 28 points, I think we can have some. Well, first of all, it'll be a great post game show, and I'll be having a lot of fun in the stands. But it's. That would be I think that would be a needle mover type of result. I mean, I think a win in general would move the needle at least a little bit, but a 4-touchdown win over and holding this SMU offense to 17 points. Yeah, I do think that'd be a needle mover in terms of whether this team has started to figure some things, has figured themselves out a good bit, and we can have some different conversations about the outlook of the rest of the season. Katie Jones says, I want them to show up so bad, but I wholeheartedly am ready to be kicked in the nuts again. Yeah, I mean, I think that's how many of us feel. It's just you don't. That's the tough thing. Is like I got to keep myself consistent too, because I mean, I said, like, I told you, like, going into both the North Carolina and BC games that, like, no matter the result, can't get too high off of it. I mean, if you blow these teams out, I mean, you can't take away everything from it, and because it's a good way to get hurt again, because these are it's a different football team you're playing every week. It's a different matchup, and obviously the talent level is a significant step up in this game.
Yes, it is.
Wet Sox 38-24 SMU. Yeah, I mean, that
could happen.
Kind of similar to, kind of reminds me of Syracuse, and if SMU gets out, they just get out ahead, and Clemson is playing catch up the entire game. That would suck. But it wouldn't surprise me. This team has it in them because they've already done it once this year.
Yes, they do.
Porch, Clemson 28, SMU 10. He's thinking a lower scoring football game. I would take that result any day, though.
I mean, a win for Clemson, I'll take at this point.
Yeah. No matter how it looks. Big John says 34-31 Pick'em. So he thinks it's going to be that's going to be the final score one way or the other. That type of game. I could see it. John says TCU held into 24 Qs to 31. Clemson needs 34 points and they win. That's been a tough ask for this team.
That's a lot of points for this team.
Yeah. This team hasn't scored. I mean, this team hasn't scored 30 plus points against what you would call a decent Power 4 team since Virginia.
Yeah.
Last year.
And in that game we gave up 21 in the fourth quarter?
Yeah. Well, of course, the ACC championship game, duh.
Yeah.
But besides that game, besides that game, I can't even. I mean, that's not fair. I mean, it counts, but I'm not even. I don't know why that one didn't even register in my head. But still, they haven't scored 30 plus points against very many Power Four opponents as of late. John says Jacobs as good as or better than Lee, Tristan Lee. Yeah, I mean, I would say, I mean, based off of the limited sample size, yeah, I would agree.
We got to see it again, though.
Yeah, we definitely got to see it again.
He had one good game at this point.
So yeah.
Got to see him repeat.
Yeah, Wet Sox says I agree. SMU win, but I think it plays out very similar to Syracuse game. Won't ever look close. Yeah, that'd be a very disappointing result. That's for sure. But it wouldn't be a surprising one. Intelligence Savage says, who needs to see more of the field to get more defensive stops in this upcoming game, in your opinion, and who should spy Jennings on defense? I mean, I don't know how much they're going to spy him, given the tendencies. Like, he hasn't been a super he hasn't been a super active runner of the football.
No.
But I do think that you have to stay and contain and keep him in the pocket. I think that'll be enough. I think taking a player basically out of the play to spy him might be unless they are really unless he's really getting after it.
Yeah, the only way I see them doing that is like he kind of goes off in the first half, and rushes for a bunch of yards and picks up a bunch of first downs with his legs. Then maybe, but I don't think that'll be their game plan going in. Like I said, he's only got 5 yards on the season. Now you got to account for his 11 sacks that I think net him like negative 120 something yards.
Yeah.
So you got to remember that, because college factors in sack yardage to rushing yards, which is stupid, but whatever.
Let's see. But yeah, I don't know if you spy him in this game, because he's just I don't think he requires that level of attention at the expense of taking a back seven player. You're basically just out of the play, essentially, especially in pass defense to do that, because that could spell trouble too. John says Jeremiah Alexander has been getting more snaps without taking away from Brown or Woodaz. He'll be key on defending the middle against the run. Yeah, I mean, I think they've used him a lot in terms of I've seen him a couple of times in pass rush situations. Obviously, he does have that in him. He was an edge prospect coming out of high school. Was always viewed as a tweener, and that's why you don't really want him in coverage, but you also hand in the dirt, don't know if that's going to be his future either. But he does have some really nice athleticism and bend, rushing the passer and playing downhill in general. So, I mean, I think you'll see a good bit more of him. We'll continue to see more of him as we get further in the season. I will say that, Wade Woodaz's snaps have gone down. Last game, I think he only played 36 snaps, which is his season low. So I won't say it hasn't taken away from Woodaz completely. But, I think, he's, not having him on the field so often isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I think it helps him be more effective too. So, that's one thing I'll be watching. That linebacker rotation and who gets in. I think you've seen more of some of the other guys. I think Kobe McLeod has gotten out there a good bit more as of late.
Yeah, he's gotten out there a decent amount.
Yeah, D. Creighton. Those guys. I think they're factoring in a little bit more. And also, it doesn't help that you take Jamal Anderson basically out of the lineup now because he's redshirting. So there's definitely that definitely leaves a spot, kind of a void, at least in the core linebacker rotation, at least. So snaps have to go to somebody, and I think that's also why you've seen more of Jeremiah Alexander too. What's us says Jordan, I'll be there too. We can cry together after we're right. Yeah, absolutely. Come find me after the game, and we'll cry together and drown our tears. In I don't know. We can go to Triple T's or something and forget about it. What's the Intelligent Savage asks? What's the health status of Jay Haynes going into this game? Yeah, he's not playing.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I don't.
They haven't given an injury update on him in quite some time. So
yeah,
the last we heard was, what was that, Jordan? 4 weeks ago, maybe, when he when he strained his quad coming back from the ACL, and we haven't heard about him since then.
Yeah, and I think at this point
I think they shut him down for the season. Honestly,
yeah, that's where it's looking like they're shutting him down. Hopefully, and
they're probably going to try to
get this year back.
Yeah, they're probably going to try to medical him this year and get the year back.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm okay with that decision.
I'm okay with it. Yeah.
I like Jay Haynes a lot, but at this point, with where your season's at, trying to get him back when you're not really playing for that much, anywhere close to what
if you can get this season back, and he's staying, like, I think it's a net positive for you. Like, he's not going to come in and like magically make this year like crazy better, right? Mm-hmm. So like, I think it's more important for the future of the team to try to get a year back and keep him as part of that running back rotation next year, versus burning a year this year when, the year's kind of half over already. You've already dropped 3 games. Not that you're not playing for anything, but all of your preseason goals are kind of out the window already. So,
Uncle Baby Billy says 27-17 SMU, unfortunately.
Yeah, it can happen that way. That's for sure.
John hits us with a BYOG or sell. He says Clemson rev share will suck this inaugural year. Most remaining games likely ACC Network Louisville on ESPN's South Carolina, probably ESPN2. No OTA, big networks. Yeah, I do think Clemson is still a fairly considerable draw. So like comparatively to the rest of the ACC, their revenue share will be pretty good. But compared to what they could have potentially been making if they were a college football playoff contender, it's going to be pretty significantly less. I'll buy that. Poor says, do you think Dabo will be fired if we lose this game? No, I don't think Dabo's being fired. I don't think that's a. I think
Dabo can lose.
That feel that way, but
I think Dabo could lose 3 more games and not get fired.
Yeah.
He's not being fired. Yeah. And I know people are drawing the comparisons with, James Franklin being fired and that kind of stuff. But in all reality, when you think about it, there is no comparison there.
No.
That was when he's got 2 national championships. James Franklin's never won anything of significance.
He's won 1 Big Ten championship and 2 playoff games in the college or 3.
He's got 1 conference championship. Dabo's got what, 10?
Yeah.
And 2 national titles. So, yeah. I mean, I get the comparisons because of the disappointing season that both those teams are having based on preseason expectations. But Dabo's got far more equity built up than James Franklin ever had at Penn State.
Yeah. So, yeah,
And I don't.
two very different.
I'm not sure Penn State made the right decision. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see
who they hire. We'll see who they hire. It may work out great. They may fall on their face. I don't know.
Yeah, those type of firings can, always they have the potential to backfire really badly.
It's a tough decision. I mean, I commend them for making the decision because it's incredibly ballsy to make that decision to move on from a coach that's that successful but not getting over the hump. So I understand their frustration.
Yeah.
If I was a Penn State fan, I'd be ready for him to go too. But it could go either way. I'm not sure they made the right decision, but we'll have to see who they hire.
Yeah, I mean, look at Florida with Dan Mullen, or that didn't work out. That they fired him, and he very successful, consistent winner.
You could be Georgia, or you could be Florida.
Right.
Those are two opposite ends of the spectrum, right?
Or Auburn, and when they firing Gus Malzahn,
yeah, there you go, Auburn. You could be Georgia or Auburn, right? Auburn has yet to find a coach since they fired Gus Malzahn.
Yep.
Georgia fired Mark Richt, a 10-plus win coach every single year, and then they got Kirby Smart, and it worked out, right? They got multiple national championships. So that's the two ends of the spectrum that it could go for Penn State, and you just don't know which way it's going to go yet.
Yeah. Or Nebraska, when they fired Bo Pelini way back in the day. I mean, that was kind of the beginning of the kind of the downfall.
For Nebraska.
Yeah. They're starting to pull it around now, but
they're looking much better now. If they can keep their coach.
Right.
Penn State might come calling.
We'll see. John says Jay Haynes is out for the year. Yeah, so they'll try to get that. They'll try to get that year back. David says talk about making most of limited opportunities. What about Ronan O'Connell? Yeah, he's kind of a. I mean, when he committed to Clemson, I think I described him as a scumbag in a good way, but that's how he plays football.
He's a dog. He's that blocking that dude in the back of the end zone, and then that other block. He's a psychopath. He's got some nasty to him, which you love to see in an offensive lineman. So,
that was good to see. I think I think he's going to be a good player. I'm excited as we get deeper in the season. When they've raved about Gavin Blanchard. I want to see him get some opportunities. Without obviously when the red shirt can't be burned. There again, like we've talked about some of the struggles the offensive line has had this season, but I mean, I do think that there are pieces worth talking about and for the future where you give Matt Luke some time. This line can look really, really good. But right now he's working with mostly guys he didn't recruit, and is what it is. But I think they played one of their best, arguably their best game on Saturday. So we'll see if they can build on that. Yeah, John says Wood has snap shared with McLeod, Alexander, and Creighton. Yeah. Intelligent Savage says Wade hasn't been getting people on the ground when he's had the opportunity to do so far this season for me. Yeah, I mean, and it's not even so much like I think he's poor angles and not always in the spot. Like sometimes he's in the spot and he just whiffs. Like it's one of those things. I mean, he was always like when he came out of high school, he was always kind of a tweener because he was, he came in as a safety, but they really felt like he would really develop well if he bulked up and was became a true linebacker. But he certainly he doesn't have the same level of speed. I mean, he's straight line speed. He's a very, very good athlete, but he's just not. You ask him to cover sideline to side, but that's just not him. And they with how this defense is. Especially against modern offenses, linebackers are asked to do a lot more than they ever have, and he's kind of been picked on, the guy that that teams have picked on in coverage and in other aspects of the game. So anything that gets him having to work laterally, it's just not his game. M. Brand says we haven't won a Power 4 game at home since Virginia last year, 10, 19, 24. That would be a full year without a Power 4 win at home.
Jeez,
pretty sobering stat.
That's brutal. That is brutal. That stat sucks. Man.
Yeah.
And not because we haven't had the opportunity.
Yeah, no, you've had opportunities. Big John says, I'm bringing the Eye of Newt, Hair of the Frog, and Furry Caterpillar to Sister Louise in the Bayou to combat the pink curse. It is real.
I love it.
Do whatever you got to do, Big
Bring
John.
it all. Bring it all.
Isaac says that Penn State recruiting class is falling apart. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They had decommits immediately.
Yeah, I mean that's when you have an entrenched coach like that, get out.
Didn't they have like 5 decommits within like the first hour or something like that? It was crazy.
It was something.
Yeah,
then other guys saying I'm not 100% locked in and I'm opening up my recruitment. Yeah.
Their class is falling apart quick, fast, and in a hurry. I mean, they just got to know that they just sacrificed this class, like. So.
Yeah, Westside says, who do y'all think will get the Penn State job? I mainly heard the Kurt Signetti and the Iowa State head coach. Yeah, Matt Campbell. Yeah, Kurt Signetti. Yeah, he's been a popular pick, but obviously Matt Rule has been.
He's another one that gets thrown out there.
I don't really have my ear to the ground on it, so I mean I couldn't really tell you who Penn State is.
Other than the big names that have been thrown out, like I don't know.
We'll see.
If I was them, I'd probably go after Kurt Signetti.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we'll see if he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they're going to go after him.
John says BYOG or sell. Cade reaches 350 plus passing yards with 5 catchers or more with multiple receptions, not just the usual. SMU is that weak. So I'm BYOG. Ooh. 350. That's a tough number.
Passing yards.
That would be the most he's thrown for all season.
I'll buy the 5 pass catchers.
Yeah.
I don't know about the 350 though.
That's just a tough number. I mean, I think 300 is there, but I don't. 350 is that. You know what? I'll buy it just because of how quickly SMU, how fast SMU.
You could have a lot of possessions.
You could have a lot of possessions.
So
I will buy it.
I mean, I picked Clemson to win, so I'll buy it, I guess.
Yeah, Katie says, Norvell went 2-10 and kept his job. Dabo ain't going nowhere. Yeah,
Dabo ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. Well, at Florida State, clearly.
I mean, if there's any Clemson fans out there that want Dabo going, you better strap up. He ain't going nowhere unless he goes somewhere. Unless he chooses to go somewhere, I should say. Clemson's not firing him.
No.
It's not happening. Now, there may be some coaches that get fired after this year. But it won't be Dabo.
Yeah.
It won't be Dabo, that's for sure. Nor do I want him fired, just for the record.
Yeah. I'm not there.
I'm nowhere near there. I have my frustrations, but I'm nowhere near the fire Dabo train.
Yeah, I mean, I said I'm not going to argue with people that feel that way, but I'm just I don't think it's that worthy of a talking point because it's not going to happen. So, better to talk about what other things
I think it'd be a
need to
mistake
be
for
fixed.
Clemson to fire Dabo Swinney.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a mistake.
yeah. David says, think about Clemson when Tommy Bowden left and Dabo took over. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Let's see. Says Drew Aller is out for the second right now. I hate the move Penn State made. Not unless they talk Tom Allen back into the door. I really think it's a bad move. Well, I don't. They're not calling Tom Allen. I know that for a fact.
No. They're not calling Tom Allen. Yeah, didn't Drew Aller's out for the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They fell apart all in 1 week.
Yeah,
it's tough, man.
Crazy how since that overtime loss to Oregon, they've cratered.
He'll probably transfer, right? I don't know.
Or just go to the draft. I mean, I don't think he's put up great tape, but his head coach got fired. He might transfer. I don't know if he feels like he needs the year. I guess he'll see what opinions he gets from scouts because I don't know. I feel like there'll be a team that likes him for the tools and the physical traits, but he certainly didn't put up first round tape this year, so we'll see. Isaac says Matt Luke is bringing in some top guys. OP looks promising if they develop, or I think OL. I was like, huh. All right, let's do a few more or a couple more and then get on out of here. David Lauer says, I wonder if Beamer will go to Virginia Tech. I don't think that's likely. I do think he'll be on the short list for Virginia Tech to call, but at this point, I mean, I don't know if leaving South Carolina for Virginia Tech is that much of a upgrade in job. Maybe with the pledge of however many million that Virginia Tech just got in terms of athletics, maybe that's enticing for somebody. But I don't know. I do think Beamer likes it at South Carolina, and I do think he's going to stick around there as long as as long as possible, unless they fire him. So I'm of the opinion Beamer doesn't take off anywhere without before he either gets fired. Well, I guess I really think that's the only alternative because I think if he's successful, I do think he's a guy that will stick around. Just knowing just from people I've talked to and knowing kind of what Shane is about, I do really think he loves South Carolina. He does have the history there. Just because his dad was the coach at Virginia Tech, I mean, he has a lot of ties to South Carolina too. So, John says PSU just rolled a roulette wheel. In my honest opinion, could land on a big win or a $200 million bust once all the portal spending, retention money, Franklin payments, and new coach is added up after 2 years. Yeah, I mean the cost. The auxiliary costs of firing a head coach and hiring a new one, all of that comes with that.
What I will say is, regardless of whether it works or not, Penn State must have that different money, bro. They got different money up there.
They do. That buyout is ridiculous. I mean,
I didn't think. Yeah, I don't.
Penn State's got it, man. I've never doubted that. They invest a ton.
I didn't think schools would pay that kind of buyout with the rev share and all this stuff that they got to pay for now. Because, I mean, you got to think, like, we always just talk about, like, the head coach and his buyout, right? Like, that's not the only buyout. Like, all the position coaches, too. Like, they have contracts, too. They have buyouts, too. So, Yeah, it's an expensive move, but clearly they felt like they had to make the move. So we'll see how it works out for them. Like I said, I don't know that they made the right decision, but again, I'm not a Penn State fan, and honestly, I could care less if they make the right hire or not.
Yeah. As he says, Antonio Williams looks like he's moving at a different speed out there. I think he has a chance to be a good NFL wide receiver. I mean, I do too. The touches he got on Saturday, I think he looked
He
looked like
definitely,
he had that spring back in his step.
yeah, he finally looks healthy.
Yeah.
He finally looks healthy. So
he's good, man. I think that's an underrated. I've talked about it. With my guy Dustin Black, he looked like, I think Antonio is almost as fast as anybody on the team, and we don't really talk about that much. So, oh man, we talk about, oh man, how good his hands are, how good of a route runner he is, all of that, and he is a phenomenal at those things. But he really is a really good athlete, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that. I think it's just because he doesn't have the size profile of like Bryant Wesco, with the long arms, the catch radius, and the frame.
He's the best receiver and the best quarterback on the team. So
yeah, he is Clemson's highest graded passer in terms of passer rating, QBR, and Pro Football Focus. So. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Yards per completion. Yeah, he's got it all, man. Yeah. He's got it all. He's a dude.
Yeah. All right. I think that's going to do it for us tonight, y'all. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support the show. We will be back. We'll have to figure out what we're going to do on Saturday, because obviously I'll be at the football game. Might do similar to what I did, what we did with LSU. Maybe I do it on the drive back or whatever. But we'll see. I'm going with a couple of friends, so we'll see where the day takes us and when the opportunity presents itself. But regardless, we will have a post game show of some kind on Saturday, so y'all make sure to tune in for that. And again, thank you to our super chatters, Big John. Appreciate you, Sirius Black. Thank you, and also to our channel members that popped in, John Sarian, of course, David Lowry. Got to scroll. Who else popped in? I don't want to miss anybody. I want to say that those were the only two. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And of course, like I said, we'll be back.
Like Mike.
Oh, like Mike, he was in here. Did I miss him?
Yeah, he's right there.
Thank you. I was like, glad you caught that. Sorry, like Mike, I didn't forget you. But yeah, we will see you guys on Saturday. And hopefully we're talking about a Clemson win.
Hopefully.
But again, this is a bigger step up than in the last couple of weeks. But excited to watch it nonetheless. Love going to Clemson and watching the team plays in person. And I'll give my thoughts, and y'all get to see my raw reaction, I guess, after the game. So make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Make sure you're sharing the show with friends as well. But yeah, that'll do it for us.
All right, guys. We will see you on Saturday. Stay tuned for the time. Maybe a little later than normal, but we will have a post-game show. So see you guys on Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Go Tigers.
Later, y'all.